There's something very interesting happening with myself and with my clients right now. There's those that are more connected than ever, having better sex than ever. It's what we're going to talk about today. And there's this dichotomy. There's these women that they're almost awakening and processing for thousands of years, for 2, 3, 400 generations. The female body has been storing what the world could not hold, and just regulating our nervous systems, just surrendering. It's not working anymore. I think this is a year of the fire horse thing. Chinese medicine explains it. But for thousands of years, we were required to suppress our emotions, produce without recovery, disconnect from ourselves. In Chinese medicine, the female body governed by yin, by blood, by liver, movement of emotion. And our system is really designed to receive, to process, to release. But we haven't been doing that. We've been overgiving, we've been accumulating. And now we're in a yang fire horse year. And as we know, fire burns everything down. Nothing hides. And in the female body, this sharpens our perception through our hearts. What was tolerated before can no longer be held. And that is why I have more women than ever connecting, and I have more women and clients than ever choosing separation, choosing themselves. I'm Dr. Jordan Wiggins, naturopathic doctor, author of The Pink Canary, and pleasure and intimacy strategist for high-achieving women. This show exists because you deserve to feel fully alive, fully fulfilled, without having to earn it, just because you are. And feeling fully fulfilled in the bedroom is not too much to ask for. And today's episode is going to talk about exactly why you haven't been able to get there. I have more past clients calling me than ever saying, I can't do this anymore, whether it's their career, whether it's their marriage. And what they're feeling is the fullness, the overstimulation, the inability to receive, the inability to tolerate, the inability to forgive. And our yang, our high-achieving traits to do more production, more force, more effort, that solution isn't working anymore. Too much yang, too much penetration, too much doing, it does not create safety and security, things that are fundamentally required for intimacy. So we actually need to stop adding, stop pushing, stop overwhelming our bodies and the system. This is going to be part one of a 2-part series, and I want to talk about what is working for those that are connecting and are having better sex. What are they doing? And I need you to understand that foundation before we go into part 2 that will work. And more importantly, I want you to have language to bring to your partners that explains the why. Maybe what he's been doing that hasn't been landing, your truths that haven't been spoken, and will work on what high-achieving women with super traits actually need to have desire, to want sex. If we're high achievers, overgiving people pleasers, we have our super traits. We're very high in empathy, responsibility, loyalty. We're exceptional at taking the temperature of the room, managing the emotional climate, anticipating what is needed before it is asked. These are not weaknesses. These are survival strategies, conditioned adaptations that make us extraordinary in every domain of life except one: erotic experience and intimate relationships. So our physiologic reality, the same body that makes you exceptional at tracking others' emotions. It makes you exquisitely sensitive to context when it comes to sex. Usually more sensitive than your partner or more sensitive than the average person. So if your partner is a little more sullen, a little more withdrawn than usual, you're hypervigilant. What's wrong? What did I do or say? And that is turning off the pleasure centers in your brain. I think something is very misunderstood. Women with super traits do not have a lower capacity for desire. We have a higher sensitivity to everything surrounding it. The container, the context has to be right before our bodies will open and respond. And this is not high maintenance. This is hypervigilance. This is wiring as an overfunctioner to stay safe from childhood. And this distinction matters enormously when we are trying to be in long-term sexual relationship with somebody. This distinction matters when we look at what works for our partner doesn't work for us. This is not a personal failure. And when we have high forgiveness, high tolerance, high loyalty, we tend to blame ourselves. It's not us. It's not our partner. It's the architecture. As our nervous systems developed to have super traits, we need a different approach. As I talked about in the Pink Canary, we talked about the dual control model, the sex researchers, Jansen and Bancroft. It's their research. Emily Nagoski popularized this, and it explains how desire operates through two competing systems: an accelerator, the things that turn us on, and a brake, the things that turn us off. I cover this in depth in my book, The Pink Canary. The accelerator responds to everything sexually relevant: touch, smell, words, taste, memory, context. The brake responds to everything that signals no, not now, stress, disconnection, resentment, unfinished tasks, feeling unseen, feeling unsafe, feeling like you're not a priority on a person's list. For women with super traits, the brake is more sensitive than for lots of people because your nervous system is already running many processes at once, scanning the relational environment, tracking his emotional state, managing the invisible workload before sex even begins. Our brake is already applied, and we cannot press the accelerator with the brake engaged. This is how desire works. So the question isn't necessarily what's wrong with me? Why don't I want more sex? Is it just my hormones? Do we need another vacation? The question is, what is pressing on my brake and what would take that pleasure off? If you haven't already, head to the Pleasure Path Substack for more on this. The Pleasure Path Substack is where I'm going to publish more of my work: handouts, action steps, deeper frameworks, case studies, research, the diagnostic tools that I use with private clients. It's free to subscribe for now, so make sure you head to thepleasurepath.substack.com. The link's in the show notes. And this reframe is very important to bring to your partner because it moves the conversation from "you don't want me, you're not enough for me" to let's talk about what actually moves the needles, the accelerators. And most couples are getting this backwards. Most therapists get this backwards. What I hear from high achieving women all the time when I ask what creates desire for them. Okay, not what they think they should want, not when they're performing pleasure and intimacy, but what actually moves something in their body, what actually makes them feel turned on. Okay, so the the couples having better sex, I'll say, okay, what's different? What changed about the context? Your accelerators, your brakes. And listen to what she'll say, because this is very interesting and fascinating. Well, he noticed that my winter tires needed changing, and he did it without being asked. Okay, he didn't need a note. He saw it and he handled it. Men listening, you want her brake lifted? See something that needs doing and handle it. That single act autonomously releases her nervous system from the management role that she has been holding, and her body registers relief, softening, opening, just like a turned on vagina. She's registering, I don't have to carry this right now. That's a brake release. That's an accelerator. Okay, I had another client told me he planned a date night, took full ownership of it from start to finish. Reservation, babysitter. She didn't have to project manage it. And when she feels taken care of, her nervous system state shifts from hypervigilance to pleasure centers on, relaxing, receiving. Okay, she didn't have to make it happen. She got to receive it. She felt cared for. She felt prioritized. And that is profoundly erotic for a woman who spends her entire life being the one making things happen. I had another client. She said he listened, not to fix, not to respond, not to redirect. He listened to her about an issue she had. Attention given fully is foreplay. And it's something that partners can be taught. And I'm happy to say that I'm working with more and more men privately because they want to learn these skills. And we'll talk about that in the next episode. I'm going to have more stuff for the men on my Substack. If you're a man that wants to work with me privately, you can send me a DM on Instagram. I had another client say that her husband held something difficult without collapsing, escalating, making it her problem. Okay? And when he can sit in his discomfort of your hard feeling, of your no, without withdrawing, sulking, turning it into another need that you have to manage, your nervous system registers, I'm safe here. Safety, desire, turn on, they are all the same thing. Safety and consent are the building blocks, the foundation of great sex. And when partners understand this and they learn to regulate themselves instead of you being the regulator, again, it is another one of the most powerful erotic acts. Women with super traits spend the vast majority of their relational lives with their attention on their partners. His mood, his needs, his reaction, his experience, is he liking the sex? And they are exquisitely attuned to his inner world. And I'm talking about women with multiple degrees, running big businesses, boards, performing life-saving surgeries. And a part of their journey on the pleasure path and reconnecting with themselves erotically, they are so focused on him and they have zero ability to tune into themselves. What creates desire for a woman with super traits is not just the right acts. So did you hear me say, buy lingerie, schedule a date night, have a glass of wine? Did you hear me say any of the bullshit that we have been taught? No, because it does not work in an over-functioning, under-functioning relationship dynamic. What creates desire for a woman with super traits is not just the right act. It's the experience of his attention landing on her fully and her own attention landing on herself. So that is what I've been teaching through pleasure principles, is getting women to turn their attention inward on themselves. And another area that women with super traits struggle to receive is having his attention on her fully, being able to receive it. Because for somebody that's never been focused on herself, always focused on everyone else, this is a muscle we have to train. Okay, when he handles something without being asked, her attention is freed from that management task. When he plans the evening, her attention doesn't need to be on the logistics and are the kids cared for. When he stays regulated through her difficulty, and this is something that I find both partners in a relationship need to work on. Superwomen are not great at it, neither are their partners. But when we can learn to stay regulated in those moments, we get to fully have an emotional experience and fully be witnessed. And that's intimacy. I got a tingle just saying that. Every item that I mentioned at its core are acts of attention. Where is our energy and effort going? And for a woman whose attention, effort has been outward for years, having it return to herself is very profound, very erotic. And this is where we begin to play. This is the language worth bringing to your partner. I need your attention. I want to be witnessed. I want to be devoured. I want to be devoted to. And we have our work to be able to receive that kind of attention. Because when we are overwhelmed, our pleasure centers are turned off. Our receiving capacity is teeny tiny. It's like a quarter of a measuring cup. We get a little bit of their attention and then we don't know what to do because we haven't been able to command and receive it. So then we pick a fight or we run away or we check out. So when partners can understand that they're undivided, no agenda, no performance, their attention is the primary erotic act available to them, it becomes about playing to give and receive it. So before part 2, a few things. Write down your break list. What are things pressing on your break right now? In your life, in your relationships? What's actually there? Be honest. Unfinished tasks, unresolved dynamics, the same fight coming up over and over again, the weight of managing everything. Name them. That list is diagnostic. It tells you what needs to shift before your accelerator, your desire can turn on or do anything at all. And maybe if you're ready, you might want to have one conversation with your partner. Not a big relationship talk, not a state of the union, just one low pressure thing to share. You might want to say, I read something. I was listening to a podcast about how my body works, and it explained something that I haven't had words for. My breaks are more sensitive than yours. And it's not about you, but there are things that can release it, and I want to explore it together. Okay, this is a roadmap, a path forward. And in part 2, we're going to talk about what is blocking all of this, even outside of you and outside of the things that press on your brakes. This is something that most therapists aren't talking about, something that has a clinical name. And once you have these words, once you can see it, it's going to be a game changer. It's like when I started talking about pleasure and anhedonia in 2019. When women finally knew that anhedonia, like inability to feel pleasure, not feeling as happy as you used to be, feeling like you're watching your life go through the motions, but not really feeling anything, when they had words for that, that opens the door to healing and taking action and doing something about it. So if this episode gave you language for something that you've been feeling but couldn't name, like I said, head to thepleasurepath.substack.com and sign up. Each week I will be publishing content, case studies, research that's going to move the needle for women like you. And if you want more, if you want to understand exactly where you are, exactly where things are going wrong, head to the show notes, book a pleasure path assessment. You'll have pre-work to do, and we will map this out in 30 minutes. The link is in the show notes. I'll see you next week for part 2.